Non-proliferation isn't one of those things that everyone talks about, so this puts you in a position to meet people who this is what they do, this is what their life's work is.
They kind of give you a year to meet lots of people, see lots of things, help out where you can, but also just learn a lot and find out what you want to be when you grow up.
We get to look at how non-proliferation grows as an issue globally, but then apply that in projects, implement that policy in the field, whether it's an agreement with a country, whether it's training or transferring a technology or something like that. That kind of interaction, that bridge between the grad school thought process and the actual real world on the ground, it's a good opportunity to kind of see where that connects.
Some of the things I've been able to do is go around the world, specifically to Russia and the Middle East, and engage personally with these scientists in projects and training programs, and it's been a very rewarding experience.
Day-to-day in the front office is kind of all over the place. There's no one particular portfolio, but it's a lot of liaising between the NNSA Public Affairs Office, coordinating meeting memos, briefing books, any of the taskers that we have tortured the program offices with all year to support either Ken Baker or the NNSA administrator or even the Deputy Secretary, who has a large non-proliferation portfolio as well.
I've spent some time looking at the forensics portfolio, which is kind of a new project all over, not just in NNSA, but a bunch of other government entities. They're trying to see where all of the relevant technology was before people called it forensics.
Involved with repatriating highly enriched uranium from foreign countries. You get to see a shipment from finish end, so you start with the negotiations, and it's like a year-long process, but you have multiple shipments going on at once, all in different phases. And sometimes you can never really predict what happens too. So you could be in the middle of a shipment and overseas or something like that, and then encounter an 8.8 earthquake. But it's all part of the job and really interesting.
I actually work on a wide variety of things from day to day. It's one of the things I really like about the job. It's extremely varied. One day I'll be looking over some policy documents, such as for the Nuclear Security Summit or for bilateral meetings between, let's say, the Secretary of Energy or the NNSA Administrator, meetings that they're having in foreign countries. They'll have sort of bilateral meeting preparations that we look over and make sure that they're in line with U.S. non-proliferation policies. And then I'll move from that work directly to some sort of very technology-heavy development projects for the 241 team.
My time there, I think I got to see more interesting nuclear reactors and labs and experiments and intelligence trainings and all sorts of things than most of the other folks, and really took advantage of all the freedom and flexibility that the program provides.
The trainings that NNSA does throughout the National Lab Complex are fantastic resources. I've gone to several now through our NGP training, as well as out at Oak Ridge National Lab on safeguards, on centrifuge technologies. Others have gone on courses on nuclear forensics, on missile dual-use commodity identification, things like that.
I think what stands out for me the most is having previously been deployed to Iraq as an infantry soldier. I got to engage Iraqis in a different way 4 years later from being deployed, in a way that was very meaningful to me, because when I was over in Iraq it was a little bit different, and now working with them, collaborating with them, and just seeing how brilliant they are and working together with them, it's been phenomenal, and I did that in Amman, Jordan.
I was just able to take a trip to Abu Dhabi in the UAE and present a paper on the work of my office, which was a really neat opportunity and a fascinating place to travel to.
I've been to Uzbekistan, and I'm going to Abidjan, Ivory Coast in like a couple weeks.
I worked with a colleague on a National Geographic piece early on in my fellowship. It's inside the nuclear threat, so I'm looking at what a president should know, science policy-wise, to address national security challenges.
My name is Ashley Nelson, and I work for the Cooperative Border Security Program in NA242, and I have traveled so much this year that I'm now a Gold Medallion member for Delta.
I got to see 3 nuclear power plants, so that was a high point for me, as well as the actual pit for an actual nuclear weapon, and many of them.
You get a chance, an opportunity, someone gives you responsibility for something, I would take hold of it. You know, you have an opportunity to learn a lot because there's a lot to do.
The first couple weeks is an opportunity to get to know everyone. Knock on doors, introduce yourself, introduce your interests. Your interests can become your expertise. Everybody is smart, everybody can figure things out. So if you have an interest in a certain issue, there's an opportunity to express your interest, write something on it, work with people that are interested in this issue. All of a sudden you're an expert before you know it. People come to you for answers. So that'd be my advice, is let your interests become your expertise, and the opportunities are available to do that.
My advice would be to really be proactive in taking advantage of those opportunities, like training, to go on trips and see how your office's projects or policies are implemented. Because it's really a unique opportunity to have during this year to explore what NNSA and DOE has to offer, but also explore non-proliferation as well.
No task is too small. That would be my advice. No task is too small. Do it all, work hard, pays off.
I'd say do as much training as possible. Do as many of the DOE courses as possible that you want to do that are interesting, because there are a wealth of information at the labs.
Also be willing to go find things that are interesting you and say, you were talking about that. That was interesting. Can I help with that for 3 weeks or a month and a half or a week, whatever. And definitely do that.
Always carry spare clothes in your carry-on.
Take advantage of all the expertise. You never know who you're going to meet in the hallway, what their life story is. People who have been doing this issue since back in the Cold War days have some fantastic war stories to tell.
They just toss you in there, and you just get wet until you learn how to swim. I mean, that's basically how.
Just keep an open mind about the experience and look for ways to, be helpful to the office that you're supporting. And I think the experience of the NGP Fellows this year is really ranged as far as, the type of work and travel and all that jazz. But if you're open and you're flexible to what your office is doing and really get in there and work hard and, try to do your best, I think it'll be a good time.
Be nice to your NGP staff in Seattle and Richland.
I think other advice would be to maintain very good touch with the PNNL folks. They can help you out. They can be your best friends, and no matter what happens to you, they can take care of you. So that's important.
Down to Savannah River, I was at an arms control course, and also at Pantex. One tidbit is that it does snow in Amarillo, and I didn't know that before. It snows a lot, in fact, and Pantex is actually quite far from the center of Amarillo, so if you do happen to go down there, you may end up driving in, 5 inches of snow?
At least, yeah.
I have now been a few times in the situation in which I am maybe one of 12 people in a room, and the only person under, say, the age of 40, and the only person without a PhD in a technical field. I think that's a situation you're going to find yourself in, perhaps with some regularity, depending on where you work in the Department of Energy, and you have to be able to sort of roll with the punches. People are going to be throwing around technical terms you don't necessarily understand, and actually in some of the cases I've found myself in that spot, I've been responsible for some type of management activity over these individuals. So that can be a real sort of eye-opener, and it's been really interesting to get myself to the point where I can understand what they're saying, and then being able to synthesize what they've said and explain it to other people with a solely policy background. That's a very, I think, useful skill.
You never know when you'll have that James Bond moment